Today is May 3rd of 2023. I can't believe it. We're almost halfway through 2023. It's insane. If you are interested in content related to personal finance, you have student loans, this is the channel for you. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about the extension by the Department of Ed for the income-driven repayment waiver program. The deadline was supposed to be May 1st, but they've extended it to the end of this year, which means those that had any period of forbearance before this administrative payment pause can get up to 3 years of payments counted. I've reported several videos on this topic. Well, the deadline has now been extended to the end of this year. I got specific questions and comments on my channel asking, do I have to consolidate my student loans if I have direct loans already if I want to qualify for the income-driven repayment waiver program? And the answer is no. You do not need to consolidate your student loans if they are already direct loans. The point of consolidation is to turn non-direct loans into direct loans to qualify for income-driven repayment as well as public service loan forgiveness. So I wanted to answer that question. I also want to talk a little bit about some of the news around the Supreme Court hearings as well as the Department of Education budget cuts and what implications that we see it has that we're already seeing, hence pushing back the income-driven repayment waiver deadline from May until the end of this year. So first, let me start with talking about the some of the news around. We're expecting to get a Supreme Court decision on the forgiveness within the next few months. There are still some servicer changes. So, for example, your servicer may have been, Fed loan servicing has already been all moved over, but there's also a shift from Navient to NowNet, for example, and Now 8 Advantage is a big servicer. So you may change servicers, which requires you to sign on to a new portal, and information also appears differently. The access to the type of information you can get is supposed to be the same, but it is not standardized across servicers. The most important piece of information I love for everybody to know is you should know your payment count. You should know exactly how many payments you have counted towards your overall total repayment period. So if you have 120 payments to make, you should know if you're on payment 60 or payment 80, right? If you are not a public service loan forgiveness applicant and you are trying to qualify for regular 20 to 25 years of loan forgiveness, then you should also still know your payment count. Are you on payment count 200 or 100? That's important because you should know approximately when you're going to stop paying your student loans, because that allows you to financially plan for other aspects of just the financial planning, right? Especially if you have other goals like buying a home, starting a family, etc. So I highly recommend everybody get that information. You can get it by calling your servicer if it's not on the portal. But we also have a payment count template letter that we have as well. So comment below if you're interested in the template letter, comment below. Additionally, I wanted to talk a little bit about, so the Supreme Court, I talked about that. Now I want to talk about what are some of the implications of the budget cut. So we saw like changing when income-driven repayment will happen. We also see that Congress is trying to essentially basically make it so that the Biden administration can't extend repayment anymore. Additionally, the cut in budget has made it so that there's a delay roll out to Biden took public comment on his new loan program, basically consolidating a bunch of different income-driven repayment programs into one, merging it under one umbrella and rolling people over into this new plan. That has been delayed because we don't know. We're looking, it was supposed to be rolled out by like summer around now, at least more information on Biden's rollover after the public commenting period. However, that also looks like it's going to be delayed. And there are some representatives in Congress who are trying to block Biden's passing of this new loan program, because it is very generous and it reduces the amount of monthly payment. It literally cuts it in half. And if you have dependents, more than half. So there are some members of Congress trying to block that. So that has not resulted in any Supreme Court hearing or anything that's going up to Supreme Court as of yet, but it may end up in the Supreme Court. Biden's new loan program may end up in the Supreme Court. I don't know the merits to end up in the Supreme Court, but it is possible just from seeing how the decision making around student loan programs have gone thus far, including the bar defense decision, which the Supreme Court did in Sweet versus Cardona, did support the administration actually discharging debt for those who went to the for-profit colleges. So that was good news. However, it just makes it seem like a lot of student loan information is somehow now ending up in the Supreme Court. So I really hope Biden's new student loan program does not end up in the Supreme Court, because that, again, will delay the rollout implementation of Biden's new student loan program. So I wanted to share some of those updates. So we have until December for those who need to still consolidate to enroll into an income-driven repayment plan. And the reason it's important to do so is because they will update your payment count to be reflective of including payments that while you were in forbearance, as well as this administrative pause, will also count towards loan forgiveness, okay? The next piece of news I'm really following is Biden. One of the first things he did in office was freeze any type of tax bomb on forgiveness until 2025. So I'm very curious to see if the administration will actually be able to get past no tax bomb on student loans ever. That's kind of the next big piece of information that could really help those who get loan forgiveness that aren't public servants. Will they have to be subject to paying a tax bomb, right? So that's kind of the next news we're going to be watching out for. In the meantime, we are here to assist, provide estimates, analyses on your student loans, estimates on projected boosted purchase power. All that could be done on our website. I will link the calculator to our estimator below. There's also an estimator on our main page of our website, myloansense.com. We also give completely free estimates on student loan plans. Once you go onto myloansense.com, you just click consumer sign up. You can get a completely free estimate that way as well. We will work with you, also answer your questions for even your loan officers if you're trying to originate on a mortgage. And we look forward to working with you all. One final piece of information, I want to talk very briefly about bar defense, because we did have a few candidates come through that are seeking bar defense, and they're in the process, and a decision on their loans will be made. They're given different dates depending on when you apply. And the unfortunate thing is they are on pause from having to repay their student loans for several years beyond the pandemic pause. But that also, if you have high balances, prohibits you from, it hurts when buying a house, because the lender will have to count 1% or 0.5%. So if you're having like a $200,000 balance, that means the lender has to use $2,000 or $1,000, and a lot of people don't have the income to even have $1,000 count towards their student loan balance, or they can't buy a house. So unfortunately, if your case is pending the bar defense decision and the lender uses 0.5 or 1% and it's too high in terms of being able to afford a home, unfortunately, there's nothing we can do to kick you into repayment or anything, because you lose your line in the bar defense application process. For some people, they rather own a house. They don't have that high of a bar defense, so they say, I'll reapply later. Others, their balance is simply too high and they don't want to lose their place in line in order to potentially get forgiveness. So decisions around that are very personalized. We have the latest and greatest around that for those that are in pending bar defense that need some help, or even help with the bar defense application. Okay, let us know if we can help. We're here on standby. Again, if you find this content to be helpful, please like, please subscribe, please share. And I come to you weekly with student loan updates, as well as other personal finance topics related to, I try to broaden besides student loans. Like I try to touch credit. I try to talk about other forms of debt. And of course, I always talk about wealth building, getting ready to buy a house, and next steps in life. So if you like that type of content, please subscribe. Have a great rest of your week.